Sorry, let's get rolling. Shovavim, number 7, I guess, number 2 for this year. Gishmak, Matzah Shabbos, learning Torah, Shovavim, Tshuva, Shemois Ve'er Boi B'Shalach, Yisr Mishpatim, Truma Tzatzava, Shovavim Tat. Coming out Matzah Shabbos to learn some extra Torah. Let's do it. Last week we discussed Negiah, we discussed Kalas Roish, we discussed eating together at a table. Now we're going to start today with Sif Gimel, which is the halachas of serving. So one of the acts of service between husband and wife for doing for each other is serving. We're going to see there's going to be certain halachas that are going to be one-way halachas. Only the man can't do for the woman, but maybe the woman could do for a man. And certain halachas are going to be both ways. This halacha is both ways. It's a service. It's an intimate service for a husband to serve his wife and for his wife to serve him. So let's go. The Shulchan Aruch says that he cannot serve her food. No, he can actually. I didn't say it so accurately. The Shulchan Aruch says that he cannot serve her drink. He can't be mazug kais. Now, mazug kais actually has two connotations. One connotation is the serving of the drink, and one connotation is the mixing or the preparing of the drink. So the Shulchan Aruch says that he cannot be mazug kais for her, and therefore we take that to mean that he cannot either prepare a drink for her or serve her. The ikr meaning that we're going to be working with is going to be the serving, but the preparing of the drink will also be a problem. Now, what does this apply to? There's actually, a big machlokes in the Rishonim. What is this referring to? There are shitas that this only applies to wine. L'maisa, we say that it applies to all liquids except water. So for water, there's going to be no isser of mezigas kais, of serving the wine. But for all other liquids, this isser will apply. Now, for the Sfardim, this only applies to liquids. Right? We're going to, as we see over here, for the Sfardim, it's for sure going to only be liquids. Now, lichatchila, we're machmer, that, as I said, she shouldn't prepare the drink as well. That would be included. Now, this doesn't mean pouring a drink. Pouring a drink isn't preparing a drink. Preparing a drink is making a coffee, making a tea, making a cocktail. So, let's say a woman shouldn't make her husband the tea, even if she's not serving the tea in front of him. This is only the fun of, only in front of him. So a woman should, a lot of people don't know this. This is like, I've found that people aren't so aware of this. So if she wants to make the coffee for you, and I'll go get it because she's not serving it, that is a problem, and no question about it, it is a problem.
Stay out of the kitchen, it's cool.
Whatever. I'm not getting involved in anybody else's shalom bias here.
Open kitchens.
Huh?
Open kitchens.
Yes. Now, Lemaisa, if a serving was done be'isser, let's say somebody be'isser, the woman be'isser served the food. It's fine. I'm going to make her the bad guy. I'm safer today. If the woman serves the food, even though she wasn't supposed to, the food is mutter to eat. It's not the type of thing that we say that now it was done be'isser, the food is aser, because the isser is in the maisa serving. The isser isn't in the food, and therefore it would be allowed. Now, if she's going to go and serve bring 6 drinks to the table for the 6 people that are there, even let's say they're all sitting in very close proximity, and she puts down a tray of 6 drinks for the 6 people, that's okay. Because if it's not definitive which drink is for which person, then it is okay. Similarly, if the husband pours the kiddush into 6 little cups, and it's not definitive which cup is for her, therefore that will also be allowed. Now, there's a machlokes achronim if this isser applies to food as well. Now, it seems clear that the Shulchan Aruch, to me, as I see it, holds that this only applies to liquids. And the Ramah doesn't argue on this. So it seems to be pretty clear, Shulchan Aruch, without Ramah arguing, that this only applies to liquids and there's no issue of serving foods. However, there is a shach who works with the Bach. The Bach was before the shach. The Shach and the Bach both say that the Isser, they side with the Rishonim that say that the Isser doesn't only apply to drinks, the Isser of serving applies to food as well. And therefore, the minhag has become to be machmir for the shach and the bach, and therefore, since the minhag has become in Klal Yisrael that we're machmir for the shach and bach, therefore we don't serve food as well. I assume that the Sfardim are not machmir for this. I haven't checked with my local chacham, but I'm going to presume that the Sfardim are not going to be machmir for this shach and bach. Now, it seems okay, fine. Now, we will, however, allow the one spouse to prepare a plate of food in front of the other spouse. Meaning, because that's a double chumrah, so to speak. We're not going to be machmir for the preparing on food. We're machmir to include in the isser the preparing of drink, and we're machmir in the isser for the serving of food. But the preparing of food, setting you up a plate, or even mixing together food somehow, I don't know, making sushi for you, with all the ingredients in front, we're not going to be machmir. That won't be a problem. Now,
Or you just go to fetch it yourself.
yeah, or don't worry, I have a term coming. Don't worry, I'm going to take care of you guys. Now, there's multiple ways to avoid the sisser. Now, number one, if let's say the woman's not in the room, you could put it in her spot. So if she's in the kitchen and you don't have an open plan, so if she's in the kitchen, then you could go and stick the plate on her spot. It's not a problem or she could do to your spot if you're not in the room. So that's number one. Number two is, as I said already, water is not included. So you could serve water without a problem. Number three, it's mutter with a shine. So if your wife is serving you dinner, serving you the meal, serving you whatever, she could do it with the shine. Now, how do you do it with the shine? If she wants, she could try balancing it on her nose, but that might be an issue of kalas rosh. So, and it might spell. So there's a lot easier shine that we could use. The easy shine that we could use is that she could serve with the left hand. If she's a righty, and she serves you with her left hand, that would be considered a shine. Now, there's a point that I think a lot of people get and, overdo this heter to where it doesn't belong. If the woman's coming in with two plates, she's serving multiple people. She's coming in with two plates, and she has one in her right hand and one in her left hand, and she goes and sticks the one in her left hand, gives it to her husband, and then the right hand gives it to her kid. That's not going to be a shinai, because there's nothing mishuna about it. There's nothing strange out of the ordinary about it. That's how you serve two people. You have one in your right hand and one in your left hand, and that's not a shinai. So, but if she only comes in with one plate and has it in her left hand, and she's a righty, that would be a shina, and that would be allowed. The Harchakos says that it's actually not good enough to serve in the left hand like that. She has to come in with the plate in the right hand and switch it to the left hand to place it in front of you, because that's showing that it's a shina. The Mesa, I would call that a neis chumrah. Me'ikar din, we're going to say it's fine, even just giving the left hand without the switch, but yeah, it's a nice chumrah if it could be done. The next way out of this, this is a very easy way out of this, is if it's not put right in front of him. Because it's just, instead of putting right in front of him, a little to the side. If it's a little to the side, then it's not such an act of service that she did to him or he did to her. Because it's not like she didn't hook you up so much. You still have to go and take the plate from where she put it and put it to where it belongs. And there's two elements to what I'm saying. I actually picked one. That it's not a complete act of service because it didn't get to your spot. And the other point is, since there's an element, it's strange, it's different, it's weird, it's not how she would normally do it, therefore that shina acts as somewhat of a hecker. So it's two different potential explanations as to why that heter would be allowed.
It doesn't have to definitely be on the side just far from you.
So, what do you mean by that? The question.
In front of you, but like you have to reach for it.
Yeah. So if it's not dafka side. I don't care angles this way, that way, that way. It's just a little bit out of your comfort zone. Some say that you should have to reach for it, but the pashtus is just anywhere where you're going to actually readjust the plate to where it's actually where it actually belongs. There's a chumrah of reaching to it, but I don't think you should really need to reach to it. Okay, now
Serving something like sort of like something that can be balanced on the edge of the plate that would usually be put in the center.
Oh, meaning you're interesting. You mean the food is not in a normal way on the plate?
Yeah, so if you want to go to place in the setting and placing a piece of food on the edge of the plate.
Interesting. I don't know. I could hear. Would that be a hecker? Would that be weird? I guess that would be weird, right? Depending on how full the plate is. If it's an empty plate. Maybe. It's interesting. I'll tell you like this. That's the type of thing I could hear this for. I've never seen anybody say it. I'm not coming to look. There's enough easy heterim here that I'm not going to be mechadish that one, because I could hear a svara for, but I could probably make up a svara against as well. So, I don't know. I'm not looking to be mechadish something new with that, but I hear the svara. Okay. Next is that you're allowed to pass the serving dish. Meaning, some people get this confused. It's only your individual plate. If you're giving a whole serving dish and it's going around the table, it's not a problem. She give the whole serving dish or the whole bottle of soda is fine. She can't fill up your cup of Coke, but she could, pass you the bottle. And no, I know what you guys are thinking. Oh, but then we say, but bishul akam, Coke is just water, and it's not, or Chamar Medina, some of the poskim say Coke is just water, and tea is just water. Now, when we say except water over here, we're more machmer. Water is water, and we're going to say Coke is Coke, and tea is tea, and therefore Coke and tea aren't water. If you know those sugyas of Chamar Medina, you know what I'm talking about, and I said Amir Lakam, I meant Bishul Akam. But if you know those sugyas, great. If you don't know the sugyas, just keep on nodding. It's all right. Okay. Now, there's one more heter. She's allowed to serve unfinished foods. So let's say the coffee still needs sugar or milk, or the tea still needs sugar or whatever. So she could serve you that, even though, yes, somebody might drink that coffee without milk. But since you drink your coffee with milk, and she's just giving you the coffee without the milk, that would be fine. That's not a full act of service if it's not a finished product. I heard a geschmack heter from Rabbi Callis for a very common case. It often happens, so you're on the plane, right? And your wife's on the inside, you're on the outside. And the stewardess passed you the plate of your kosher meal to go pass to your wife, or at least you're not going to pass it to her, but you're going to want to put it, where are you going to put it? On her little table. There's nowhere else to put it. It's either in her hands or at the table. But what do? You can't serve her a meal. And what are you going to tell the stewardess? Do you mind reaching over to me and handing it to my wife? She'll look at you like you're crazy. Right? What do you do? So Raquel says it's allowed. Why? Because it's an unfinished product. You have to go and cut the whole thing, cut the plastic open and rip it open and tear this and tear that. And by the time you get to the food, it's a whole ganze maisa. And it's just like at coffee that needs milk. This food needs to be open. And therefore you can go and put the food on her table. I thought it was a geschmack I had there. Okay.
Take it from your table there if you stack them.
Right, that's true. Okay. Now, there's a different isser of sending wine. Now, this isser has different rules to the isser of serving. So this is what sometimes gets mezigas hakois, serving, versus sending wine. It sometimes gets a little confusing how these two isurim are relatively similar, but they have different rules. So when it comes to sending wine, this is actually it's good to, this is going to answer the reason between all nafkaminas. I'm going to get to the side of the isser. By serving, the side of the isser was the act of service. Whereas by sending wine, the side of the isser is the taitzah of her having the wine, drinking the wine that you sent her. Yeah, one more time. Serving was the act of service, the mice is serving. Whereas when it comes to the wine, it's the end result of having the wine. Okay, now serving, he cannot send her wine or grape juice. She could send him wine. So this is a one-way street, this sister. And usually when it's a one-way street, he's the bad guy. So he cannot serve her wine. Number two, he can't even send it to her with the shliach. Yeah, like serving, there's no issue if you send with the shliach. You bring this to my wife, this food, no problem. But over here, he can't even send her with the shliach. It sounds like a funny case, but it's really not. Do you mind bringing mommy this kiddush? You're out. Bad. Problem. So that's a classic common case. And yes, your 7-year-old could be your shliach to bring the wine, and that would be a problem. Sending is a problem even if she's not in the room. You can't put it on her plate, even if she's not put the cup of wine, the kiddush, the whatever, because she just went to the kitchen for a second. You can't put it on her plate because why? Because once again, it's about the end result, not about the act of service. Furthermore, sending wine is a problem, even if it's put on the side of her. None of those heterim that's not actually by her. Because who cares? So you put it over here. What is she going to do? She's going to take it and put it on her plate. And now she's going to have the wine that you set up for her. So it's not the act of service. It's the end result. Now, let's say you by mistake sent her the wine. And you're oh, shoot, need a rule. Shovavim Shiur. Yeah? She cannot drink the wine. Because once again, it's not the act of service. It's the end result of having the wine. And therefore, the wine would be usher for her to drink. Or, serving with the left hand doesn't help. I'm going to give you a case which could definitely happen without anybody thinking about it. Sometimes if you have a bris on a fast day, right? And they're, after make the agafen, who's going to drink the wine? So either you find that 9-year-old to drink the wine, the same one who drinks it on Matzah Shabbos during the 9 days, that one. Or what they often do is, hey, send it to the mother of the baby, because she's not fasting. So she'll drink the wine. Beautiful. So the husband can't say, oh, bring this to my wife, this wine. That's a problem of sending wine. Now, one thing to note, which is a common situation, which people don't realize is mutter. Let's say you're by your in-law's house, for example. Your father-in-law makes kiddush. And the way that, the seating arrangement is, it goes to you and your wife. And then he pours it into a bunch of little cups and says, oh, pass it to Shani. Uh-oh. What do I do now? The answer is no problem. You can pass it. Why? Because you're not sending wine to your wife. It's your father-in-law is sending wine to your wife. You're the shliach. Just like when we said, when you send it with your 7-year-old son, the kiddush, it's a problem because it's not the 7-year-old, it's me. I'm sending. Over there, it hurts you. Over here, in this case, it helps you. I'm not sending wine to my wife. It's my father-in-law's wine. So therefore, that would work. Okay, weiter. Now, and left hand doesn't help. I don't know if I just said that or not, but left hand doesn't help with sending wine. Now, how do you do kiddush? If you can't send her the wine, how do you do kiddush? So there's multiple ways to do kiddush, not so complicated. Either the husband drinks and it puts down in his spot, and then the wife goes and takes it. Once again, you can't do like how you do the serving. You can't drink and put it down, in between where you and your wife sit. No, that's a problem. You could drink and put it down on the saucer, and your wife will take it from there. Option number 2 is the husband could pour kiddush into many cups. If if lots of people are drinking from the kiddush, there's multiple people at the table, so you pour it into 7 small cups, and the wife takes one of them. Even if there's 7 people, we don't say that, wait a second, it's 7 cups for 7 people, it's fine, because one of them is going to your wife. We don't say it's a problem, sorry. We don't say it's a problem, because since there was no specific cup intended for her, that's fine. But let's say, she has the bigger one, and the little kids have the smaller one, and that's how you do it, that's a problem. Because once there's a cup, if you know that there's a cup which is specifically hers, if that's how it goes in your house, then it would be a problem to fill up that cup for her. And the next mahalach, once again, similar to the first, is instead of the husband drinking from the cup, the husband could pour it into a different cup, drink from the different cup, and put his wine down, whatever, and the wife could take over from there and take it. It's not that different than the first. Okay. Now, fine. Now, next group of Yisurim.
Once she takes it, she can drink from the same cup?
So, by a kais shal mitzvah, we're making that she could drink from the same cup. There is a little, we'll see with leftovers, that leftovers are really a one-way street. That he's not I hope you're not in one of these houses where she makes kiddush and you drink from it. I don't have a problem with women making kiddush. I'm all good for women making kiddush. Like, the husband's not home from shul yet. Some women have like kiddush phobia. They think they're going to grow a beard. Gezerah Shava from Havdalah. I don't know exactly. But women go, hey, make kiddush Shabbos morning. So I hope we're not in one of those houses where no, we switch off weeks. Half the time he makes kiddush, half the time she makes kiddush. He makes Havdalah, she makes Havdalah. I don't know what else. I don't know. No, I'm not putting it into anybody else's imagination what's next. But if in theory, if she would make Kiddush, then that would be a problem for you to drink from her kos. But I said the mitzvah thing, but the truth is you don't need to come onto mitzvah things. She could always drink your leftovers. And in terms of the fact that it's sending wine, you're not sending wine if you put it down on the saucer. Yeah?
You don't need the mitzvah thing, but I thought it's a problem in front of the person.
Which
With
part?
regular leftovers.
No, but it's not. She's allowed to have your leftovers.
She's allowed, right?
Yeah? All right, we'll get this in.
So if you're not sitting near and you've got different cups, you're going to be stuck.
Yeah, unless you have smart kids. Meaning
If
who
you have
are...
smart kids there and they know to take a wine, they're not sending anything?
No, meaning then your kid, unless your kids could fill it up. You can't fill up her cup in such a matzav. Yeah.
You fill up all the cups and let your oldest kid just give it out to everybody.
But if it's like you do that's her cup and like none of your kids would ever drink from her cup, then that would be a problem. But if there's 7 identical cups, then it's fine. Okay. Now, there's a next issue that we're going to discuss. This is the issue of bathing and washing. Now, these issues apply both ways, man to woman, woman to man. So you can't bathe your spouse and touch them and whatever, that's obvious. But you can't even pour water onto them, even if let's say they're fully dressed. But for whatever reason, they're, not feeling well, whatever. You cannot pour water onto them. That would be a problem. Now, you can't even prepare water for them to wash with. Prepare water in front of them. So let's say, for example, you can't fill up the bath for your wife if she's in the bathroom, if she's in the room. But, which is usually the case, you're going to fill up the bath, start the bath for her, if she's not in the room. So the issur doesn't apply. A lot of people get confused about this. The issur doesn't apply unless the person's in front of you, unless the spouse is in front of you. So if you want to turn on the bath while she's not yet in the bathroom, then that would be allowed. There's a whole hack and lumdus about the shower. Would the shower be a problem? Because you turn it on and the water comes out, but by the time that she gets into the shower, it's already new water that came. It's a problem. It's similar to the water fountain shayla about making a bracha, if you're familiar. It's or the electricity with the Havdalah, with the Rishon Zalman. Whatever. There's a couple of shaylas that are like this around. L'maisa, we're going to be machmer and say you cannot turn on the shower if she's in the room. But once again, it's not such a problem, this issur, because if she's in the room, she could probably do it herself. And if she's not in the room, that's probably when you're going to do it. So maybe it's fine. What about a dvar mitzvah? So we actually allow filling up for a dvar mitzvah. So she wants to set up your negel vaser, that's fine. Or she wants to bring mayim achreinim to the table, not a problem. What about filling up each other's washing cups to wash on Tisdan, wash before Hamaitzi? So that would be, for the most part, it's okay. I'll tell you like this. The way that I view it, there's different poskim that say different things. But the way that I would say it is like this. If you're being nice, and if you're being benchluch, then for sure, it's a beautiful thing to do. If it's like, the Shana Rishona couple who's being like all cute and intimate by filling up with a big smile, filling up the other's washing cup, so that already I think that should be avoided. That you should stay away from. But if it's not menschlichkeit or nice or caring, that's fine. Cute and intimate, Shana Rishona couple type, whatever. That is dvar mitzvah. There's a machlokes about a dvar mitzvah. So therefore, I would say that in a matzif where it's cute and intimate, then one should be machmir. But in general, there's more than enough room to be makel. Okay. Now, fine. Beds. So a husband and wife, this is considered one of the most serious of the Harchakos. Maybe the most serious Harchaka. That a husband and wife are not allowed to sleep on one bed together. Yes, even if it's a big, huge bed, king size, 2 king size next to we'll talk about 2 next to each other in a minute, but one tremendous bed, I don't care how big the bed is, it is also for them to sleep on the same bed. A shayla that I was recently asked is, what about if somebody sleeps in between? So, sometimes space can be tight. Let's say it's your kid. Could a husband and wife sleep on the same big bed if somebody sleeps in between? So I would tell you this. So there is I found the heter in the Chut Shani, that the Chut Shani allows this, but it can't just be like a little kid sleeping in between. I'm not sure where the cutoff point is. It sounds like you need like a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old, not a little kid. It has to be a bigger kid and up to be sleeping in between, and it has to obviously be a large enough bed where they're not going to come to touch each other, whatever. So if you have a large bed with I don't know the exact number. There was no number in the Chut Shani, but let's say call probably a 10-year-old in between, then you would be allowed to sleep on that same bed. The Ramah adds that it's even a problem, not just one big bed, but even two separate beds that are touching. Even two separate beds that are touching would be a problem. Now, how far away do the two beds need to be? Just need to clear my throat a little bit. How far away do the two beds need to be? So, me'ikar din a mashu. 1 inch apart is apart. That's ikar adin.
Once they're an inch apart in the mattresses, but as soon as you add the sheets are touching.
So I was going to say that. Very good. But when you do this, you still have to make sure, because some places that say when the sheets go on top of each other, that is a problem. So that you would have to make sure that 1 inch would be, held to very strongly without any blankets covering it up. And some poskim say that it should be lechatchila. Some use the term amma, some use the term arm's length. It's really two in the same. It's not an amma. It doesn't mean you don't start handling. Wait, which amma, Reb Chayna, or is it the Chazanish's amma? Let me get the tape measure. It's not about that. It's about arm's length. That you shouldn't come to touch each other with that space in between. And the other reason is that the blankets shouldn't come to go from one bed to the other bed. Now, Lamaisa, if you're a Muncie, this is great. And this is excellent, no problem. Now, in Yerushalayim, this isn't always so practical. Because not everybody has the space to have a amma in between their beds. One thing the Chut Shani, by the way, so I think the minhag in Yerushalayim is not to be so machmer in this. The Chut Shani says that if you have less space, what you could do is you could stick something in between. So even you get yourself you could buy like these little thin tables, and you stick a little thin table in between, or maybe a broomstick if you don't have that much space, and that could act as a divider between the two beds. Or you get, I'm sure you can figure out something to stick there. It's an interesting shayla. Does one have to go and they want to buy bigger beds? Because it's geschmack to have bigger beds. But by having the bigger beds, they're not going to be able to have the amma. Could they go and have bigger beds and be able, but they're going to have to stick something small in between? I think there's harbe room lahakol. I think that the person could get bigger beds, and as long as they're going to keep something in between, I think that is okay. Is there some room? If somebody is there a chumrah to be had? Maybe there is a chumrah, but it's also nice to have big beds and be comfortable, and each their own. Okay, so once again, as I said in Yerushalayim, we're not so machmir with that din because of obvious practical reasons. Whereas if you're in Muncie, you probably should be machmir on this. Fine. Now, if the other spouse isn't there, let's say the other spouse is at work or whatever, then you are allowed to lie in your bed, even if the two beds are connected. But, as we're going to see soon, you're not allowed to lie in her bed. But you're allowed to lie on your own bed when they are touching if she is not around. Now, having a single bed board is not a problem. That's perfectly fine. What about sleeping on a bunk bed? I'm on top, she's below. Is that allowed? So I thought it was like a shmaka kasha. I was thinking about it quite a bit. And l'chayr it's usher. There's a din. You're not allowed to sleep in the same bed. It's the same bed. L'maisa, the Barei Shulchan says it's usher. I agree that maybe the tam of the Isser you don't see there. Maybe the tam of the Isser is missing. But maybe there's a little bit of like feeling each other's weight a little bit. But I agree, it's not the Iker, it's not really the Isser. The Isser is more than that. But L'maisa, the Barei Shulchan is machmer on this. And sometimes you have the pull-out the pull-out beds on the bottom, and then they go. So most of them are two separate entities. The top bed and the bottom bed are separate entities, and therefore that would be allowed for one spouse to be on one of them, and the other spouse to be on the pull-out. But sometimes they make them where they're connected. Where they're connected, it's going to be a problem because it's one bed that's connected. So something to think about when somebody goes bed shopping, I guess. Okay. I could hear a svar that if they were in separate levels, it wouldn't be a problem. But Lamaisa, I couldn't find anybody that said it. So, I don't know.
By that same logic, in like a caravan or something, if you've got they're all the beds are part of the same entity.
Are they beds?
I'm saying.
Oh, caravan, like something like a train.
Trailer thing, whatever you call it.
A plane, a train.
Yeah, if you like.
Or private trailer.
Yeah, but I'm saying this is like one bed that's purchased together. It's not like, when I say, when you go camping, you can't sleep on the same floor because it's connected. We're not going to go that far. You need the amma on the floor as well. By the way, they definitely cannot. You definitely not sleep with your wife in a 2-man tent because you know how many people fit in a 2-man tent? One. So you know what I'm saying? It's definitely not going to work. Fine. Okay. Now, a man cannot lie in his wife's bed if she is in the city. Even if she's at work, whatever, if she's in the city, a man can't lie on his wife's bed. If she is out of the city, a man could lie on his wife's bed. If she's going to be out of the city for the day. I don't mean for like a couple of hours. I mean for like this 24-hour time period. I'm not putting it to the clock 24 hours. But if you're in your mind, she's gone for the day, she's not coming back tonight, then one could sleep in her bed. This, to get a little idea, like what is the city? Once again, I don't really care about which day they lay in Megillah, or they lay on your dollar. It's not really about that. If she's in Hadassah and Kerem for the next 2 nights, she's out of the city. If she's in the Bikur Cholim hospital, she's in the city. You hear what I'm saying? Fine. It's, is she away? If she's away, you could sleep in her bed. And if she's, by the way, sometimes this happens because the woman has a baby and, the mother-in-law comes and takes the kid's bed and the kid goes and falls asleep in your bed and you don't want to risk moving the kid to her bed because then, the kid might wake up and this is the bed that's available and your mother-in-law's there and you could sleep there. It's fine. Okay. I think we know what I'm talking about. Okay. Now, what about her sleeping on your bed? So she is allowed to sleep on your bed when it's not in your presence. So if you're not there, you're in work around the corner. She could sleep in your bed, but if you're out of the room, she could sleep in your bed. But l'maisa chacham eina b'roshai. Obviously, this is only going to work if you are not coming back in 3 seconds. Because if you're coming back in 3 seconds, and she's going to be sleeping, that's a problem. So obviously, hakol lefi the situation, but you have to make the situation work. Okay, what about standing on her bed? You want to stand on her bed to get the linen from up top over there, and that vase that you need to reach. And you have to stand on her bed to get it. Could you stand on her bed? So there's Ben Ish Chai, I think it was. I didn't find it this time, but some in the back of my head. Ben Ish Chai, that there's a Gemara, some Agadha Gemara. That's he pulls out this random Agadha Gemara. That standing on a woman's bed is like standing on her stomach. And I don't remember. This Gemara somewhere. I don't remember. And maybe Yerushalmi. I don't remember. And therefore, he says, you can't stand on her bed. L'maisa, the person don't go with this. And that's the Gemara. It means whatever it means. But we are allowed to stand on. You could stand on her bed to get something, whatever. Not a problem. Now, well, either as long as she's in the city, you can't. Well. It's interesting. With the Ben Ish Chai, asked her if she was out of the city, because it's like you're standing on her stomach. I don't know if the Ben Ish Chai goes that far. It's interesting. I don't know if he goes that far. Maybe. I don't know. It's interesting shot.
In front of her.
Huh?
You could stand.
We'll let you stand on the bed in front of her because we hold that's not a matzav of korva standing on the bed. Okay. Now sometimes, let's say you want to switch beds. Because whatever happens, the baby's born, you came back from the hospital and realized you can only put the cradle fits on the crib fits on this side of the room or it doesn't fit on that side of the room and the air conditioner is blowing here and it's not blowing here and the heater's here and there's that and her clothes are here and his clothes are here. And we want to switch beds. So what's her bed? What could you switch? Is it enough to switch the linen? Is it enough to switch the mattress? Do you have to switch the entire bed frame? Or is it go by her makan kavua and switching everything won't help? So if you would have asked me, actually I want to see if everybody agrees. What should be the defining factor? What's her bed?
Whatever simon serves as a simon.
So what do you think? I had my thought. I was against the place game.
Where do you want to be for the next?
No, I want to know if we know. We agreed for the last 7 years. That's been her bed. This has been my bed, and we decided right now that the baby's born. Whatever we want to switch. What's her bed?
Switch.
I always said the mattress.
So Betsy has more das Torah than me, I guess, because I thought I would have said it's by the makom. Her makom kavua is her place. I felt that, assuming most of us, I think, have the same beds, the same 2 beds for husband and wife. So, who cares which bed is which? What's hers? She's the one on the left side, and I'm the one on the right side. That's what I would have thought. It's about makom kavua, and I would have thought switching around the beds, the mattresses, who cares? That wouldn't help. But that is not what the poskim come out. The poskim come out, as Benzi said, it's about the mattresses. And therefore, if she wants to be switched from the left side to the right side, what you could do is you switch the mattresses, and now it's fine because it goes bust her mattress. To me, that was a bit chiddush because in my mind, we have the same mattress, whatever, who cares? Nothing that strikes me as hers because of the mattress. But, batal daiti, the place can say it goes bust, it's the mattress.
In that situation, you are not switching then. You just kept the same bed.
You kept the same bed. Yeah. I just moved my mattress from the right side to the left side, and that's fine.
So you're saying you can't switch?
You're not allowed to switch.
You are switching sides.
You're allowed to switch sides, but you can't switch your mattress. If you switch sides, it's perfectly fine, because you're not sleeping on her bed. She took her mattress with her.
Lahaka will say that as well.
Lahakal or lahachmer. It goes both ways. That's what the poskim say. It's a din in the mattress, not a din in the makom. I would have said makom. To me, it seems I would have for sure said makom, but the poskim say mattress. So batal daiti. We're gonna follow the poskim who say mattress.
She did it the day before. She said, "From now on, I want to switch."
Oh yes, she could switch. You could switch. So you're allowed to switch. The question is, are you allowed to switch during Zman Nidas? You probably could if you really mean it.
Yeah, if you mean it for.
You know what I'm saying? If it's a game, it's a game.
Without moving the mattress?
Huh?
What did you ask? Dan?
Do we have a Shayla coming in from England?
I said, yeah, just a dibber. If you just say, we're changing from now.
From now, we're
Yeah.
changing.
No, if you mean it, it's good.
So you meant.
Yeah. If you mean it, it's good. Sure.
What's meaning it? You mean you won't switch back?
Meaning as you're not just you want it for one night and you say, yeah, we're switching beds, and then 2 days later, yeah, we're switching back. You know what I'm saying? That's a joke. But if you're actually really switching and that's the real deal, then it would be perfectly fine. Okay. Now, I hope he's in England, not in America, because I don't want to be doing this like Chil Shabbos Torah thing. That was from the last story. You know what I'm saying?
No, he's not in Penn State. He's
Fine.
in England.
Excellent. Now, there's lots of questionable cases as to is that considered her bed. In your house, it's pretty straightforward. This is your bed, that's her bed, fine. I mean, it happens to be, what if you're the type of person that you don't have set beds? Yeah, whatever night. Sometimes you sleep here, sometimes you sleep there, sometimes she sleeps here, sometimes she sleeps there. Then the issue doesn't apply to you. It's not usher to do that. In such a matzav, it's not usher to do that. If that is your lifestyle, and that's how you go, so then for you, there's no, this issue wouldn't apply.
When you said you could switch, her mattress.
Yeah,
That's what Daniel Wilson said.
yeah. But you have to mean it. Fine. Now, we're just going on. We're going on. She's standing on her bed. I just lost my train of thought for a second. Oh, yeah, what's considered her bed? So in your house, it's pretty straightforward. But sometimes there are a lot of cases where the place can argue back and forth in tons of different cases. Is her hospital bed considered her bed? Most of them seemingly say yes. Is the hotel room bed, at what point does it become in her bed? Is it when they decided that it's her bed? Is it Hazmana Milsahi or no? Is it when she lays down on it, she sits on it, she takes a nap on it, she sleeps there for the night? There's all different lashonos in the paiskim. One night, is that enough? And then by the in-laws' house. You know, when you go to the in-laws' house, she generally sleeps on that bed, and you generally sleep on this bed. So you just got there, but you haven't been there for a night yet. Is it her bed yet? Well, does it depend on if her sister usually sleeps there when you're not there? There's all different machlokes in the paiskim. Any one of these shaylas, I can find you paiskim on both sides. So, what is the answer? How should we be nayig? So, the way that I think to be nayig is very simple and very logical. Is it her bed? Ask yourself for a second and think about it. When you see that bed, do you view that as her bed? If in your mind you view it, that's her bed, that's where she sleeps, then you should avoid that bed. Once again, you still might be able to switch. I'm talking about right now, you're not switching. You want to go, since all the stuff is on this bed, and she's gonna be sleeping on the bed on the left. She usually sleeps on the bed on the left. All your stuff is on the bed on the right, or the linen's not yet on the bed on the right. You want to take a nap on this bed on the left. Could you take a nap on this bed on the left? But she hasn't slept there, and you came to your in-laws for the first time in 6 months, and she hasn't yet slept on that bed. So do we say that it's her bed because that's where she always sleeps, or not? Machlokes in the paiskim, right and left. But once again, I just put it in your head, in your mind. Is that her bed? Is that where we're gonna sleep here? That's where we're gonna sleep, or do you view that as that's hers? If you view it in your mind like that's her bed, stay away. If you view it in your mind like, no, it's not her bed, that's my sister-in-law's bed that we happen to be using when we stay here, if that's how you view it mentally in your mind, then not a problem. It won't be an isser. So I would, once again, I'm dafka saying use your sense in these cases where we have paiskim on every side of every machlokes. So since we have paiskim on every side of every machlokes when it comes to these things, then you should use your head and go to the ikar, judge the din by the reason behind the din. Fine. Let's go weiter. Now, by the way, when it comes to her bed, something that I didn't mention, we said not only can you not lay on her bed, you can't even sit on her bed. Sitting on her bed is a problem as well. Whereas she could sit on your bed, but you cannot sit on her bed. However, the shach is matter you to sit on her bed, but we generally don't rely on the shach to sit on our bed. However, one of these really questionable cases, you go to the in-laws and it's like, okay, I guess I view it as her bed, but it's not really her bed. One of these in-between questionable cases, in those cases you can rely on the shach to sit on her bed. Fine, if it's that important for you to run the sugya. But yes, that's what we would say. Now, there's another isser, which is setting up the blankets and setting up the bed.
Have all the same dinim?
One more time?
When we are machman sitting, they have all the same dinim, sitting and lying in the bed.
Yeah. Yes, correct. Because it would be part of the same isser, according to the basic pshat outside of the shach. Okay, now a husband and wife can't. This next isser once again is going to be going both ways. A husband and wife cannot prepare the bedding for each other. They can't prepare the blankets, fluff up the blankets, fluff up the pillows. That would be a problem to do that for their spouse in front of them. If the spouse isn't there, it would not be a problem. What about making the beds in the morning? I heard there are some poskim that are machmer on this. I think it's a pella. I think it's pashut that you should be allowed. There are poskim that are makel, so I'm going to go with those poskim that are makel, because in my mind it's pashut that you could prepare the blankets in the morning. Because when you make the bed in the morning, That's not an intimate act of preparing the bed for them to go to sleep. That's making the room neat for the day. If you're doing something right, evening time, so that may be an intimate act of preparing the bed for sleeping. But in the morning, it's about making the bed neat for the day, and therefore I think it should be no problem, and I think somebody could be samech on that. But by nighttime, evening time, you cannot prepare the blankets and pillows in front of the spouse. Now, when it comes to putting on linen, I'm not talking about fluffing up the blanket and making the beds, but I'm talking about actually, putting the quilt covers on the blankets and all that type of stuff. So, once again, I saw different partaking say different things. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think for most of us, we won't view that as an intimate act. We'll view that as a avodas parach. And if it's work and it's a pain in the neck and you don't want to do it, and you're only doing it because she doesn't want to do it either, and whatever, and nobody wants to do it, and whatever, it just has to get done. So that's not an intimate act, and therefore putting on the linen, I think would be no problem at all. Now, we have some further issurs sitting together. There's an issur of sitting together on a shaky bench or couch. That would be a problem. So to sit together on the shaky bench or couch where you feel each other's weight, that would be a problem. Now, where Moshe is makel, interestingly enough, by a heavy bench or a heavy couch, even if you could feel each other's weight. So, for example, sometimes, you go into a junky car, like one of these little, and, when somebody sits, especially if the larger people, if you sit down in the back seat, him and her in the back seat, and you feel the weight of the person, the whole car starts shaking, That's not going to be a problem, according to Ramosha. Definitely by a car, the minhag is to be samech on that. But I think in general, sometimes you go to like a park bench, but it's a big heavy bench, but it happens to be shaky because cement is loose. So Ramosha is makel with that.
The couch. If you've got like two separate couch cushions,
So I'm going to get right over here. Separate cushions of a couch is fine if you don't feel the other's weight. What I mean by don't feel the other's weight, there could be, I know the cutoff point is going to be very difficult. There could be like a slight little feeling of the other's weight. Like you could know that the other sat down to some degree, but not the type of thing that you really feel their weight. It's very hard to give a clear cutoff point as to what that slight feeling of their weight versus really feeling their weight. But it can't be something that you really feel their weight, but if it's something that you slightly feel their weight, it would be okay. Now, if this
attached to the ground, to the wall, and you could feel the weight, that's a problem.
So there's the heter of Moshe on that. Not everybody's masking. Yeah.
what if she's she's only been masking to shift almost onto the other cushion, and she's kind of leaning a bit on one cushion?
But the question, at the end of the day, could you feel the weight or not? If you could feel the weight, it's a problem. If you can't really feel the weight, then it's fine.
Even if she's actually touching the other pillow.
Yeah.
Cushion, then
Yeah, whatever. When it's one cushion, we're going to be more machmir. It's going to be generally much higher likelihood of feeling the other's weight when it's one cushion. Anyways, fine. Now, if there's somebody sitting in between them, would that be okay? So the Chachmas Adam and the Aruch HaShulchan allow it if somebody's sitting in between. Not everybody is masking to that, but I think the minhag is to be makel if somebody is sitting in between. What about if there's an item in between? So it's not actually a person is sitting in between, but there's an item in between. So the Darkei Moshe allows husband and wife to sit on the couch, the shaky couch we're talking about, by the way, allows them to sit on the shaky couch if there is something in between. L'maisa, I think we're only going to be makel and rely on this if it's like a large, heavy item in between. It's not like, I put my hat in between. That's not going to be good enough. But if you put the box of whatever, the big heavy box in between, that would be fine. Then you could rely on this Darkei Moshe. Some common cases which are going to be problematic: sitting together in a ski lift or sitting together on a rowboat. That will be a problem. But once again, if you have somebody sitting in between them on the ski lift or the rowboat, that would be okay. But the ski lift is like a fair thing. I wanted to find the good cool. I was trying to find the good cooler for the ski lift because it's not geschmack. The ski lift, like what are you gonna do? And then you have to have the guy sit in between you. If you're going with your kids, it's kind of fine. But if you're going with how do you do this?
Shouldn't be going on vacation.
Shouldn't be going on vacation. I hear taka. We're gonna get to that actually. Taka. And lechatchila you shouldn't. It's true, lechatchila you shouldn't. Sometimes, sometimes you have things planned and you have unexpected occurrences. And most places aren't going to tell you that you have to be mevatel your whole trip and lose all your money because she became a nida right before. So, but yes, lechatchila, you definitely shouldn't arrange your vacations at a time that she's going to be a nida, because that we'll get back. Maybe we'll get to those halachas soon.
I've never been to a ski lift. Is it the same thing as like a cable car?
Same thing as a cable car. Yes, same idea as a cable car. It's more shaky than a cable car.
Because the one in Haifa is pretty solid.
Yeah, no, it's more shaky than cable cars. I mean, though you feel each other's weight for sure. You could lean back and forward and shake the whole thing. Fine. Now, weiter. Now, just one more. I guess we'll talk about for a second these pleasure trips. I mean, we started talking about them. You're not supposed to go on trips together, for pleasure, because. And understood that could be an intimate type thing, especially if it's a family trip. There's more room to be makel, much more room to be makel for a family trip than just a husband and wife. Husband and wife is really not as pashut and definitely should be avoided. Let's speak. We're running out of time here. Let's speak for a minute or two about if somebody gets sick. So, if somebody gets sick, there's going to be much more makel when he gets sick versus when she gets sick. Because remember I said that he's the bad guy? So if he gets sick, he's not going to have the taiva for tashmish, and therefore there's less chashash, and therefore there's more room to be makel. Whereas if she's going to get sick, that won't stop him, because he's the bad guy. And therefore there's less room to be makel. So if he gets sick, we're going to allow her to serve him food. We're going to allow her to even, sit him up with, if she has holding on to his clothing or wearing a glove or something like that, we're going to allow her to sit him up, doing nigia al yidei davar acher, and we're gonna, serving food and etc. We're going to be makel on a lot of these dinim. And she doesn't need to go to hire somebody. We don't need to hire somebody to help take care of him and those basic things because she could do it. It's not such an issue. However, if she's sick, so those same types of things that I was just talking about of helping, sitting the other one up and serving them food and etc. So if he could just hire somebody easily, if it's practical, which I feel like it's often in our world not practical, but if it is practical for him to hire somebody, then he's chayav to hire somebody to go help take care of her instead of him being the one to take care of her. If hiring somebody is not practical in matzav, then he could do it, but once again he has to be careful. Definitely can't touch her directly. Has to be via davar acher, and he could serve her food, etc. One thing to note is Sfardim have a little bit of a problem with this because the Sfardim, when she's sick, you still can't do it. So if you can't hire somebody, you have to, as I heard from Ashkenazi Rav, you have to call Ashkenazi Rav. I was listening to shit from Ray Callis. He said he gets calls on this from Sfardim all the time because a lot of the Sfardi Rabbanim, you're stuck. What are you going to do? The wife's in bad shape. And not when she's a little sick, when she's very sick and she needs help and whatever. So he says very often the Sephardi Rabbanim say call the Ashkenazi Rav. And he tends to get questions about this from Sephardim because they've been the Ashkenazi, their Sephardi Rav told them to call the Ashkenazi Rav. So I thought that was funny. One more thing to speak out. Just a couple of minhagim during Zman Nidus. So there's a woman who's in nida could go to shul. There is a minhag that's brought in the Shulchan Aruch that if she's at the time where she is bleeding during not during the Shiva Nikiyim, but when she's actually pre-Shiva Nikiyim, pre-Hefsek, she shouldn't look at the Sefer Torah by by Hagba, which is an interesting one. I don't know if the women know it or not. I saw brought down somewhere that she shouldn't put her fingers into the kosel. By the way, it's a big hak in general, whether you're allowed to put your fingers into the kosel. But when a woman's a nida, she certainly, during those 5-day period pre-hefsek, she certainly shouldn't put her fingers into the kosel. There's a din in the Shulchan Aruch, which I don't think it's the minhag. I'm not sure whether it's not the minhag because it's not the minhag, or whether it's not the minhag because people don't know. But women should not. The Shulchan Aruch brings down that women shouldn't go to a basic farce. They shouldn't go to a cemetery when they're at the time of nidus. So yeah, because it's tuma agabe tuma. There's a tumas mace and tumas nida with tumas nace. Mix that together, and it's going to be geferlich. Don't think I understood what I just said. So it's going to be geferlich, mixing the tumas nida and the tumas mace, and therefore that should be avoided. I wanted to look around to this. I didn't get a chance to really look around. I saw that there was. I found one thing. I said Moshe Feinstein says that this din the minig is since we weren't misakin tefillah for Panuya, for a single girl, weren't misakin that they go to the mikvah, therefore this din is not a problem. I don't understand what that means. Yeah, so the seminary girls, like Moshe, the seminary girls could go around to the kvarim. Because since they don't have tefillah, they go around. Now, if the problem was this geferlich thing of mixing together tumas mace with tumas nida, and so how does that help? I don't know. Tzarachin until I guess I need to do a little bit further research on this point. I didn't really get to it, but that's what we're going to call it with this. But I don't think it's the minhag, this din, but I haven't yet found somebody who explicitly said you could do it, whereas the Shulchan Aruch says you can't do it. So I'm just a little unclear where to go from there. And shkayach for listening, and looking forward to seeing you next week.